Alright, so in this one, we're continuing the battle between Sukuna and Yorozu, which is ostensibly like the strongest battle that we've seen in the series so far. Like, this is the peak of Jujutsu. A lot of fun here, but coming off of the previous chapter, 217, we saw Yorozu use the ultimate ability of the construction curse technique, where she makes like this insect armor around her, which says that it's specialized in appropriating numerous biofunctions, and we'll go more into that because it's explained at the beginning of this chapter. But after Sukuna saw that, he said, perfect, it's time for a test drive, and he summoned Mahoraga's wheel ball thing. And I know I've been calling it that a lot, and I haven't really been going too much into what this thing actually is, and that's because I didn't educate myself on it, guys. I just knew it as Mahoraga's wheel ball thing, but I have done some research into it since that time, and of course a lot of us know that this is based off of Buddhism, as a lot of things in Jujutsu Kaisen are. Like, Gege draws a lot of inspiration from that, but this wheel ball thing is based off of the Dharma chakra. And the Dharma chakra, or the wheel of Dharma, is a widespread symbol used in religions such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. Now, why it is on Mahoraga and Sukuna, well, it's mainly just for the mythology of Jujutsu Kaisen, of course, but what could it be paralleling to in like real life mythology and religion and stuff like that? Well, if we just look a little more into it, maybe it could mean whatever Sukuna ultimately wants for this ability, because we thought that he was gonna summon Mahoraga, but as we've seen in this chapter, he doesn't. He kind of just has the Dharma chakra just sitting on the back of his neck or the back of his head, the way that it sits on the back of Mahoraga's head. So the symbol is also sometimes connected to the Four Noble Truths, which in Buddhism are the truths of the Noble Ones, or the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, this is where I think Gege is more so going into, because the Eightfold Path is an early summary of the path of Buddhist practices leading to liberation from samsara, the painful cycle of rebirth in the form of nirvana. So this just go back to what we were like speculating about for the last 2 or 3 weeks, to where like that's what Sukuna's ultimate goal for the 10 Shadows is here. Not to be a beast with it, but to just use it for, maybe it's like secret backdoor ability here, which is like not summoning Mahoraga, but somehow using him to like rebirth yourself, which, you know, of course is like what Sukuna is trying to do here, become autonomous, because he still currently isn't. He is like possessing the body of Megumi, and while he has more control over it than he did to have Yuji's, he still, you know, isn't like entirely Sukuna, and that's what that could be leading to possibly, especially, you know, since he's not summoning Mahoraga here and saying that he's like summoning it as a test drive, which still isn't explained. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Sakurako. Sakurako is a monthly authentic Japanese snack subscription box. Sakurako is also supporting local Japanese snack makers, because each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese tea and a special Japanese tableware. This month, it's a Sakura springtime dish. It also comes with this awesome booklet that gives you information on all of the snacks in the box, as well as information about Japan and its culture. This month's box is Arrival of Sakura. The sakura, or cherry blossom, has long been revered in Japanese culture as a symbol of renewal, hope, and the fleeting beauty of life. This month, Sakurako wants to share the beauty of Sakura with you through a selection of Hanami-inspired sweet and savory treats and tea to celebrate the arrival of Sakura. First, I tried the sweet Sakura tea, and this is for sure one of the more special teas that I've got with Sakurako, because it contains real cherry blossoms that bloom in hot water, which makes a gorgeous edible bouquet for all of the senses. And trust me, it tastes just as good as it looks. I also tried the Sakura Warabumochi. This is another aesthetic treat that we're getting in this box this month, and it's super floral. It has like this sweet taste of cherry blossom honey. Also tried the Sakura shortbread cookies, which are super delicious. This thing was super fluffy and just the right amount of sweetness. So guys, celebrate the Sakura season and get additional bonus items in your box every month for life. Use code HANAMI at Sakurako checkout, and don't forget to check the promotions link, which is in the description. Thanks, guys. But anyway, on to this chapter. We're getting a flashback of Yorozu in the Hiener, and she looks pretty much the same as she does now, like what, you know, Sumiki looks like. So I guess that could go back into how all of this has been premeditated for a very long time, and I think it's very likely that Kenjaku like made Sumiki the way that he made Yuji. You know what I mean? Like, he got in a woman's body and then, you know, did the deed stuff that you need to do. And then I think Toji was involved in that. Maybe I'll make a video about this next time JJK is on break. I'll talk about it with some other JJK creators. But Yorozu found out that construction used cursed energy inefficiently because overall her output was insane. It says that she was even on par with the toughest fighters in the Heian era, and those were like the strongest of the strong. So yeah, Yorozu has the cursed energy output, like her cursed energy level more or less, is on the same par or the same level as all of the other strongest people at that time. Doesn't mean Sukuna because he was like the strongest of the strong, but it could possibly put her up there with Kenjaku. But at this point, it seems like she's stronger than he is. Not more knowledgeable necessarily, but like overall, like power for power, it seems like she would overwhelm him. But the immense consumption of energy that construction required caused her trouble. So long story short, you know, with what she was able to do with at the time, she was able to research some insects. Now, like I said, with what she was able to do at the time, she didn't have the freaking internet. This is like over 1,000 years ago. She was like looking off of scrolls and hearing anecdotal stories about insects, and that was just enough for her to pretty much perfect the construction curse technique by borrowing these ideas from the insects, incorporating it into her own proprietary armor that she's making here. And that's why it looks the way that she does, because it's borrowing functions and concepts from insects so that she can make the most use of her construction curse technique, because like we said, it uses so much cursed energy, but now this makes it more efficient. And then it also says something really interesting at the bottom here, and I'm not going to go too much into it because Gege doesn't really give us too much, but it says that with this combat style, Yorozu defeated a force directly serving the toe, the 5 empty generals, in bold. This for some reason this is in bold, like we're supposed to know what they're talking about, which equaled the Sun, Moon, and Star Squad that Uro led, and thus was acknowledged by the Fujiwara clan. So yeah, that sounds cool, but it means nothing to us because we have no idea what they're talking about here. Like, this also goes back to Uro being mentioned here. You know, when Uro was fighting against Akotsu back in Sendai, she was mentioning this stuff before, or at least the narrator was. She mentioned the Fujiwara clan, but the narrator said the Toe stuff, the Sun, Moon, and Stars squad, that's, I guess, Heian era stuff, and that's cool, but we have little to no information to go off of with this stuff. And like I said, she also mentioned the Fujiwara clan. She claimed that Akotsu was a part of the Fujiwara clan. Still not entirely know what that is, but it seems like they are a pretty big deal. And yeah, we'll get more insight into them, but I just don't know when. I really would like if Gege gave us an entire like flashback arc of the Heian era. I think we deserve it, to be honest, but the pace at which things are going here, I don't think we're gonna get that. I think maybe we'll get like 1 or 2 pages, 3 pages of the Heian era flashback here and there, which is better than nothing. But continuing this fight, Yorozu is just taking it to Sukuna, like wrecking him. Like the most damage we've seen him take so far, pretty much, especially at this level of power. And granted, Sukuna is nerfed in many ways here. You know, his cursed energy is restricted, he's inside of Megumi, and he's only using the 10 shadows. And speaking of that, he is only purposely using the 10 shadows here because he feels like he doesn't need to use his alleged innate ability, Malevolent Shrine, on Yorozu to defeat her, which goes into the next thing that he does here, because he summons a Shikigami from the 10 shadows that we haven't seen before, which in the Viz translation is called the Round Deer. And this thing is really cool. It's like one of the utility Shikigamis from the 10 shadows, and this has the ability to use reverse curse technique. Pretty darn cool here. So it's like Sukuna is going so far, he's not even using his own reverse curse technique, which we've seen he could use before, but he's using it through the 10 shadows, because I think Sukuna is trying to prove a point here. Not just to Yorozu, but also to the audience, possibly. It's like, yeah, I could just defeat her just purely using the 10 shadows. I don't even need to do anything else. And I think that's what he's doing here, which is really cool, because he's healing all the damage that he took from Yorozu here. And then also, I guess because, you know, reverse curse technique uses positive curse energy, it's shutting down Yorozu's negative, you know, regular cursed energy, which she has flowing through her liquid metal construction curse technique. That's shutting it down, which is interesting because, you know, it should work on paper because, you know, positive cursed energy is like lethal poison to a curse. So regular negative energy, you know, which is cursed energy, I guess would be shut down with positive, but we haven't really seen this used like this before, right? At least I don't remember. Because like Akotsu in theory could just go around and just shut down other sorcerers just by using positive cursed energy against their curse techniques, which I haven't seen him do before. He did use positive cursed energy as like a projectile almost. He like blew it into Kuro Urushi's mouth and exploded him, but we didn't see him use it as like a deterrent against other curse techniques. Like he could have did that against Ryu, but maybe he didn't know that he could. Maybe this is like super high level Hionara stuff that we're seeing here. I could be wrong about that also. Maybe we have seen it before, I just don't remember. But after this, he immediately summons another 10 Shadow Shikigami that we haven't seen before, Piercing Ox, and it just immediately rams Yorozu. And then we also get an explanation as to why the divine dogs that he's been summoning look all shadowy and Helsingy the way that they do, and it's because he purposely did this. He didn't want to make them like perfected, or as it says, not giving them a stable form, because if he had, then they would have, I don't know, been more susceptible to being destroyed. But I guess he wanted to have more of an effective range rather than having them being autonomous. I mean, which I guess makes sense to them. It's just like, you know, they're playing high level jujitsu stuff here, so whatever you say works for me, I'll go with it. But anyway, it gets to the point of where Sukuna summons the rabbit escape against Yorozu so that he can distract her so that he can get to the sky without her noticing. And that's exactly what he does, because he's like hovering over her the way that like Gojo was hovering over Hanami back in the Kyoto Goodwill arc. But instead of just doing what Gojo does, Sukuna decides to summon Max Elephant in the air and drops it directly on top of Yorozu like a freaking bomb. This is an awesome sequence. Love this so much. Obviously, we saw Megumi do a similar thing to Reggie at the beginning of the Culling games. It's just a useful strategy, to be honest. Except, you know, he did that with a house, but still similar strategy. Then we see that, yeah, this really did mess up Yorozu, and Sukuna comes back down and starts to taunt her more. He's like, yeah, looks like I did need Malevolent Shrine to take you down. Is this like all your love amounts to? And this does trigger Yorozu, and she's like, I have much more to teach you about love. And she's like, yeah, and ultimate strength and the solitude that it brings, I'm the one who will teach you about love. And Sukuna makes this funny face, and he's like, heh. It's very out of character for Sukuna, to be honest, but I don't know, maybe we're just getting to understand him more, because granted, we haven't really spent too much time with him, which is interesting because, you know, the series kind of revolves around him and we're 218 chapters in. But it's open for interpretation what he exactly means here, because at first Yorozu thinks he's like understands what love is or knows about love, and she's like, no, that can't be. You're wrong, so I'll show you your true love. I will construct and show you my heart. So that could mean that she's like making a cursed tool similar to what Mai did, you know, because of the heart stuff and what went into Mai's love for Maki and vice versa, and that, you know, gave her the soul splitting sword. I don't know if she's necessarily going to make that, but I could see her doing something like that, making something that Sukuna might even fear, like something so powerful that he's like, oh, I can't mess around anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this one in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.